What's up, Teacup Tribe? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I drape a sweetheart bustier bodice with a mesh halter. So let's get into it. What you're going to need is some muslin, pins, a Sharpie or a pencil, draping tape. I'm actually using like elastic, but you can get some draping tape or use elastic. And 4 pieces of muslin. You're going to be cutting out 16 inches long and 10 inches wide, and that is what you see me doing here. And then you're going to mark a grain line on 2 pieces of the muslin 1 inch away from the edge, and then you're going to do 1 line down the middle on the other 2 pieces of your muslin. The reason you're going to do this is because you're going to have 4 pieces to drape your bodice. 1 piece of muslin for the center front, side back, and center back. So now I have my black elastic or draping tape. I will link all of my fashion design essentials in my Amazon storefront, so y'all can go check that out. But yeah, you can use some draping tape, and what we're gonna do is go ahead and start draping our like bustier, like kind of like layout. So you want to decide on your neckline. I'm going for a sweetheart neckline. That is what my sister wanted for this dress that I'm creating for her, which you guys will see in the next video. But then she actually wanted like a halter with like a collar, like a high neck collar. So I'm going to be doing a high neck mesh. So it's going to be kind of like haltered. And then she wanted just like a cropped bustier. We were going to do a full out dress, but then she wanted a 2-piece. So this bustier actually is going to stop like at kind of like in the middle, but I'm just going to do it to her waist. So I'm just playing around with this sweetheart neckline. And I'm just cutting it after I get my desired like look. In the back, most like corsets or bustiers go low, kind of like that Dior look, but I'm going to just do hers at the bra line. As you guys can see, it's just like straight at the bra line. I brought it down some, but I really just wanted to focus it at the bra line, and you want to make sure the left and the right sides match up. So I just kept playing around with it until I got my desired liking. And you can pin. I'm only pinning because I don't have draping tape. I'm using elastic, but just make sure, you know, you pin if you're not using actual draping tape. Now on to the draping. You're going to start pinning with the grain line muslin, the one that you have 1 inch away from the edge, and you're going to be placing this at the center front, and you want to make sure that your muslin is high above the draping tape. So I would say about 3 inches high, and then you're just going to pin down at your center front all the way down to the waist. Now, if this gets a little bit more confusing, I have like a really more in detailed video on how to drape a front bodice. So if you want to hear more of like me like talking and going more into detail, like you want a more slowed down version, then you can go check out that video and then come back to this video. I'm still gonna slow it down for you guys here too, but that one's a little bit more just like if you just want to like it to be a little bit slowed down. So now I'm just smoothing to the front princess seams, and I'm pinning on the bottom, and then I'm just going to trim off the top. And I need to get me some actual fabric shears. So now I'm going to smooth the bust cup and pull and pin under the cup to the princess seam. I'm gonna go all the way down until I get down to my waist. And as you guys can see, I have everything pinned at the princess seam. So then you want to clip up to the princess seam, but not past the princess seam, so that it's smooth. And then you can go down to the waist and clip about 1/2 inch. And then next I'm marking. I'm going to start at the neckline and then all the way down to the princess seam. And then I'm also doing the waistline as well. So you also want to make sure that you mark at the apex, which is the highest point of the bust, and then you just continue down all the way down to the waist. So now we're moving on to the side front. I'm going to take off the pins and fold over. You're going to fold over that center front piece, and then this is when you're going to put the middle line muslin in the middle. So the middle is going to be like the middle of the shoulder line, and then you're just going to want to start pinning at the waist and pin at the princess, so you can kind of like just start the pinning and hold it in place. Remember to make sure your muslin is about 3 inches above the draping tape, because you want to have room to be able to cut if needed. So we're pinning along that middle line, and we're just going to pin all the way down it. And you're just going to want to smooth, and it's okay to have a small amount of ease in the cup. So you're just going to smooth and pin away from the princess. If you have to lightly gather, that's okay too. So just smooth and pull. This is like the one time I'm going to say to pull if you have to, because with a bustier or like corset, you always want to make sure that it's super, super tight. So this is the one time that it's okay to actually pull on your muslin. So as you guys can see, I have everything pinned all the way down to the waistline, and now we're just going to clip the bottom to just create a little bit more ease and to smooth it out. Oh, and I also forgot to tell you guys, if you have a form that allows you to collapse the shoulders, like if you have a collapsible sewing form or a dress form, mannequin, whatever, when you're draping a bustier, you want to collapse the shoulders in, or your bustier will be too big. You want it to fit tight. Like I said, you want it to be nice and fit, nice and snug, because bustiers tend to slip. So if you can do this, then do it. I wasn't able to get my collapsible shoulders to stay for some odd reasons. My bustier ended up not fitting, which I ended up having to size down. As y'all can see, I was struggling, homegirl, okay? I don't know why homegirl didn't want to collapse, but it's all good in the hood, okay? So now what you're going to want to do is just smooth over to the side seam, fill it, and then pin it. And then you can go ahead and clip and cut a 1/2 inch, and then cut at the bottom and cut off any extra fabric as well after you get done pinning. It's pretty self-explanatory and easy. As you can see, we're like literally creating an outline for each panel that we are going to have whenever it's time to sew these panels together. So we're creating the panels for the bustier. So now that you have everything trimmed, you can go ahead and mark and remove the pins, and don't forget to mark at the apex. And I'm marking the princess seam and the waistline as well. Even though I'm going to be trimming the waistline, I'm still just going to make sure I mark it. And now I'm taking my scissors and I am trimming off that excess fabric because you do not need all of that. So now I'm removing the pins from my side front and my center front, and what I'm going to be doing is folding the center front and fold over to the side front, and I'm tucking in the excess and pinning so that way it's just clean looking and we can get a feel of how it's going to look as a completed garment when it's sewn up. And this is basically how it looks when it's finished. It's all done and finished. So now we're moving on to the back, which is flat and easier. We're going to start with the center back. I'm going to be taking the muslin piece with the grain line again that is 1 inch away from the edge. And you again want to make sure that you're draping high above the tape, about 3 inches. And you're going to pin on the center back. Down that center back line, and I'm sorry my big head was getting in the way of showing me pinning, but I literally was just pinning. You want to make sure your pins are like to the side and not like straight in when you're pinning. I meant to mention that earlier, but my little big head is in the way. But I'm just pinning literally straight down this center back grain line, and I'm draping on the left side of my mannequin. So yeah, I'm only doing one side of the mannequin. You can do the full thing, but I did the full for the front, but I'm literally only doing one side. You only have to drape one side because it's going to be the same on the other side. Now, if it was a different, like asymmetrical, then it would be different, but it's going to be the same. So I'm pinning across the princess seam. So I pinned across the top, and then I pinned down the princess seam, and then I'm also pinning the waistline as well. Once you do all of that, then you can go ahead and cut or mark and cut, however you want to do it. I'm actually going to be cutting off a lot of the excess because you just don't need it and it's just in the way. So then after that, I'll go ahead and mark and cut. And you don't need to clip the back part because it doesn't really need as much ease. I did a little bit. It's optional, but you don't have to. And I'm just taking my finger and letting my finger kind of like guide me down that line just so like I can know where that line is at. You just want to feel. Pink, pink, pink. Glitter, glitter, glitter. Twirl, twirl, twirl. It's hard. And there you have the back. So easy, so simple for the center back. So much easier for the front because you're not dealing with like boobies and stuff. So now, moving on to the side back, you're gonna remove some of the pins, and then you're gonna take the middle grain line muslin, that last piece, and we're gonna place that in the center. Kind of like the center. You're gonna find the center, but I would say that the center is kind of near the edge of the armhole. So you want to start again above that draping tape and just pin, so that way you can kind of like hold it in place. So you're gonna pin around. You're not pinning on that line, you're pinning around it to create that block pattern. And again, I'm cutting off extra fabric, so it's just easier for me to see the lines when it is time for me to go ahead and mark. I went ahead and smoothed over to the side seams and I pinned, and again I trimmed and I cut for some ease, and I trimmed excess, and yeah, I just repeated the steps. And this is how it came out. It's literally super easy. Like, once you just start doing it, like, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, it makes sense. Like, you're literally just outlining those blocks once you pin and creating those patterns. I'm removing the pins so I can do some more folding over. So I'm folding over the side fronts, and I'm just pinning to make it look clean and putting all the pieces together at the puzzle. And again, you can pull if needed, just to like basically just match everything up. And I'm doing the same thing on the back. And if you guys get confused, don't hesitate or feel nervous to ask me any questions in the comments that you guys have about this bustier, because I will be happy to help guide you through it and yeah, answer any questions you have. And that is the finished look. I actually ended up doing the whole thing, like both sides for each thing, because I was excited to just get back into draping, and I was in the groove, so I was like, let me just go ahead and do the whole thing for video's sake. So moving on to the mesh halter, I'm going to be taking that elastic again, and I'm just starting at the neckline and bringing it down to the top of my bustier, and I'm pinning and cutting, and I'm doing the same thing to the other side, even though I don't need to, because I really just need one to drape one side. But again, like I said, I'm doing it for video purposes for you guys, but you just need to drape one side, preferably the left side. So yeah, so you can make this halter like as skinny or as wide as you want it to. I brought the neck in pretty narrow, kind of narrow. But yeah, I'm just gonna be taking the draping tape, the elastic, and I'm creating like basically my neckline part where the collar will go, because I'll have like a high round collar. So I'm just trimming that off, and then I'm gonna be taking another piece of muslin that I forgot to tell you guys to cut. I'm gonna be taking another piece of muslin that is 1 inch away from the grain line, and so you want to make sure that muslin is about, again, 2 inches. I would say about 2 inches above that draping tape that you did for the neckline, and you're just gonna be pinning that grain line right in the center front on your dress form, so right in the middle, and you're just going to pin. And then I'm pinning along the lines where I put the draping tape. So I'm just going to be draping along where I put the draping tape to create that halter pattern. Super simple, just pinning along where the tape is, all the way to where I get to the side of the bustier. I'm pinning down that center front line, and then I pinned, as you guys can see, on the top of the bustier. And now I'm just cutting away all the fabric. And my favorite part, marking. So I'm gonna mark the neckline, and then I'm marking the sides, and then we're going to mark the bustier part. And there you have it, your halter, mesh halter pattern piece. And you don't have to like cut to create ease, because you just don't have to. So the mesh is going to be stretchy, so I don't need it to be like any ease or anything, because it's going to stretch. But yeah, there you have your finished Sweetheart Bustier Bodice mesh halter pattern pieces, or pattern. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like this one. I will see you at the top. Peace.